Your destiny and future is predicated on the books you read and the people you meet. And so the mastermind is external. That's a group that I've joined, right? And I've been in many and still am. But what becomes internal? What becomes internal and gives me the juice to keep going is the inspiration that I receive from my fellow mastermind members. I joined my very first mastermind in 2011, right after becoming a coach. And I joined the mastermind. It was other coaches. And so I have been in mastermind communities and groups ever since I started this journey of being a real estate investing coach. And it is if I could choose just one thing, without it, I wouldn't be in business. Without being a member that's actively involved in a really good mastermind group of fellow-minded people, I just can't imagine being in this business on an island by myself.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Conner.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I am delighted to have our guest today, fellow North Carolinian, my really good friend, Jay Conner. Jay, welcome to the show.
Megan, thank you so much for inviting me to come along and talk about coaching and educating. Of course, in my space, I'm coaching and educating other real estate investors. But, I've been a guest on over 800 podcasts so far. And I must say, being a guest on your show is a very, very first. Because typically, I'm being interviewed about how to go about raising private money for real estate deals, and the audience is primarily real estate investors. But this is going to be really fun to talk about, how it is that I grew the coaching business and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, I'm really excited to dive into this conversation. And let me tell you why first, Jay. You and I have known each other for about 2.5 years. And I grew up as an entrepreneur in the coaching and online education space. That was my very first experience of entrepreneurship. And just so that all the listeners know, Jay and I are in the same real estate investing mastermind. We are both members of a real estate investing mastermind. And people always kind of give me a weird look because everybody knows I'm not in real estate investing. And I tell them, well, a lot of the people in that mastermind have coaching and education programs, and that's my expertise, which is why I'm there. And being in that mastermind, Jay, has opened my eyes up so much to how people who built a very successful business in another category before coaching approach building their coaching and education business, from my perspective, actually in a different way than people whose first endeavor into entrepreneurship was coaching. So I'd love for you to give a little bit of background first before we dive into how you built your very successful coaching business that you've had for 14 years. This is not your first business. So can you kind of give us the backstory on all the real estate investing you have done for decades, and where you got your start in entrepreneurship?
Sure. So in 2003 is when my wife, Carol Joy, and I started investing in single family houses full time. Now, leading up to that, I've done condominium developments from the ground up, shopping centers from the ground up, but most of my energy and focus has been in the single family space since 2003. Well, from 2003 until 2009, January 2009 to be exact, all I knew to do to get my real estate deals funded, my single family houses, is go to the local bank or mortgage company. I never even heard of hard money, to tell you the truth. And so all I knew to get my deals funded is go to the local bank or mortgage company, get on my hands and knees and say, please fund my deal. And, they made me pull up my skirt and show all my personal assets and pull my credit score and look at financial statements the traditional way, traditional institutional money. And Megan, all that worked out just fine. Okay. Fine for those first 6 years until January 2009, when everything changed. And I had 2 properties under contract to buy, and I thought I still had a line of credit at the local bank. I'd been with the same bank, the same banker for 6 years. And of course, for those of you that are listening to this episode, you know what was going on in 2007 and 8 and 9 in real estate. So I learned very, very quickly on a phone call with my banker that my line of credit had been closed with no notice to me. And so I knew I had to find a better and quicker way and more reliable way to fund my deals. So my definition of coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. In less than 2 weeks, I learned about this world of private money and private lending. I'd never heard about it. I'd never heard about doing business with just individuals, regular folks like you and me that use their investment capital and or retirement funds to loan money out to real estate investors. So I studied that. I put my program together as to what I was going to offer individuals here, primarily in my local community, as to how they could be a private lender. So raised a couple $1 million in 90 days. And so my bank did me a huge favor by cutting me off and shutting down the line of credit. And that year in 2009, if you recall what was going on, all these foreclosures were just flooding the market and banks weren't loaning money. So to get those foreclosures, you had to have the cash. Well, the stars lined up and Carol Joy's in my real estate investing business tripled that year in 2009 because we had the funding available. So how we went about raising the money, I mean, right now I've got 47 private lenders that are funding our deals. By the way, if you're listening to this episode, you don't need 47 private lenders. Just start out with 1 or 2 if you're looking for some money for real estate. But anyway, not one of those 47 private lenders that are funding our deals today, not one of them had ever heard about private money or private lending until I put on my teacher hat.
I love your teacher hat, Jay.
So my teacher hat says private money teacher. And so I just took on this attitude that, most people are begging and chasing and selling, trying to raise money. And I didn't take that approach. I took a very contrarian way about doing this. Most real estate investors think they got to pitch deals, and I've never pitched a deal since 2009. So what I did is I just went about teaching people in my own network about this world of private money and how they can get high rates of return safely and securely by using either their investment capital and or retirement funds. And not one of my 47 private lenders today ever heard about private money or private lending or using retirement funds in a self-directed IRA company to invest until I exposed them to this world. So I did that, started in 2009 using private money. And so then 2 years later, I was totally bored. The business was doing fantastic, still is today. And I called up Ron LeGrand. Ron LeGrand, he was the very first real estate investing seminar I ever went to. And so I called him up in January of 2011, 14 and a half years ago. And I simply said to Ron, Ron, of course, Ron and I had I'd been to like every seminar he'd ever put on. And I said, Ron, my real estate investing business is going fantastic. I said, but I got a big problem. I am bored to tears. I said, I got a great team. The team more or less is running the company. All I'm doing is making decisions on what houses I want to make offers on and how much to offer. I got the same acquisitionist talking to all the motivated sellers. She's been with me for 20 years. I said, what's next? That was my question. What's next? He says, well, you just need to start teaching real estate investors what you're good at. He says, what are you good at? I said, well, I'm pretty good at raising private money. He says, well, there you go. You are now the private money authority. Ron LeGrand named me. So,
Wow.
and so I started, put on my very first seminar, 1-day seminar in March of 2011 in Atlanta, Georgia, to a room full of real estate investors. And that's where I actually recorded my very first private money home study course, which I called back then, Where to Get the Money Now. And so that's how it started in 2011. That's how I created my first course, was actually putting on a 1-day seminar. By the way, I must say this so I don't forget it. If you are listening to this episode here on Megan's podcast and you don't know this about her, I'm going to tell you about her, because Megan, she took me on as a client, I guess about a year and a half ago, something like that, to help produce my brand new private money course, which is called the Private Money Success System. Megan actually named my course. But I can't tell you, Megan, how wonderful that experience was, because quite frankly, I don't enjoy creating new courses, but you do. And you extrapolated all that information out of my noggin. And of course, I had done quite a few video recordings for it as well. So just to say that before I forget, if you're listening to this show and you're looking to create a course and you don't know where to start, or you know you need a new course, but you just don't enjoy doing it, Megan is the person to make that happen for you in the least painless way.
Yeah, it was fun. And you're a great teacher. That was a really fun project. You were actually the first person in the mastermind that you and I are in together who hired me to do that work. You were the first, because I was pretty new in that group then. I think I'd only been there for a few months. So thank you. Thank you for getting my start in the real estate. But you were my first client who was in the real estate investing category.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, you were the first. Yeah. I read your book, everything. And I thought, when I read your book and I knew you were such a great teacher and you were the perfect person to be in the coaching and online education space, because my background is teaching. I have a master's degree in teaching. But when I read your book and I went through your course and then you refilmed it, because the course was just like clips of that live event.
That's right.
And, it was a long time ago. We were now in like 2023 when we did this, or 2024. I don't remember. I think it was 2023. And when I watched the new videos that you shot, I was like, wow, Jay is such an incredible teacher. And I literally knew nothing about real estate investing. And I thought to myself, just watching his videos and reading the book, I felt like I could go and raise private money right now and go do my first deal just from that. And that is to me, that is a mark of not just a great coach, but in the coaching and online education space, it is our job to simplify, to clarify, and to do whatever we need to do to make sure that our students and clients think what I thought, knowing nothing about private money, nothing about real estate investing, watching a course and feeling like I know exactly what 42 steps to go take and in what order and how to do each. And I don't feel overwhelmed. And I think that's the mark of a great program. So hats off to you for being an amazing teacher.
Well, thank you, Megan. Well, it really was a great experience putting that course together, and it was a really big advantage for my future students and members of my community to have you sort of run this project, because you could come to it with no preconceived ideas about real estate investing and private money and what that's all about. So that was really a big advantage on putting together a product that you could for sure say through your own experience, okay, I can follow this and it makes sense. So this is your show, but here I am asking you a question.
Go for it.
What did, this is a conversation, right?
Yes, it is 100%. This is what the audience likes.
What advice would you give? I know your audience here on this podcast are coaches, educators that are already in the space, or maybe they're interested in getting in the space. But what advice would you give to your audience about, okay, I'm wanting to create this course, but I just really don't know where to start. I mean, I know where I started, and that was painful. I remember sitting on the floor of my office in the common area of our offices here in this building where we are, and I had notes and I had paper everywhere. And I mean, I created that first outline from scratch of just based on my own experience, you know. But if I had known you way back then, I think you could have given me some advice on how to go about it with a little less pain.
You know, the first time we do anything, I think there's going to be pain associated to it because we've never done it before. We're second guessing ourselves. We're questioning ourselves. We have doubt, you know, all those fears and things come up in our thoughts and in our mind. And I'm going to take it back to what Ron LeGrand helped you do in the beginning, because I think that's really important. And I have a whole follow-up series of questions I want to ask you about that. Here's where I see people going wrong. And it's probably one of the number one areas I end up having to coach people on. And it's that as experts, there are a lot of problems that we could solve. There are a lot of different results we could help somebody achieve. And once somebody is a paying client, that probably does happen. Lots of their problems get revealed to us. We help them achieve multiple different results. It's not like the only thing you're doing in your coaching programs is helping people raise private money. You're helping them do other things, but once they're in the door and once they're behind the paywall. However, your front-facing marketing for the last 14 years, everybody has known you as the private money guy. If anybody ever asks me, Megan, who do I go to if I want to raise private money? The first name and the only name I think of that I would refer them to is Jay Connor. Go to Jay Connor. Why? Because that is what you lead with in all of your marketing messaging. That is what you are selling out here. Your go-to-market strategy is I serve one client. I have one core message. I'm solving one core problem. I'm helping people achieve one core result. And I have one main offer that I'm leading them into. That is where most people are going wrong. And they'll come to coaching sessions, or they'll come to the course, or they'll come to the group calls, and they kind of give you pushback because they're like, yeah, but every single one of the clients I've ever worked with, they each came to me with a different problem. And every single one of my clients got a completely different result. And I'm like, yeah, but if you want to be known for something in the marketplace, and anytime a third party hears a friend or a colleague or a family member say, hey, I really need help with raising private money, I want those people to all say one name. So what is that? And I think that is, regardless of how painful that starting process was for you, I think what you did really well in the beginning, because you had a mentor, because you had a coach, Ron LeGrand, you focused on one thing and one thing only. That's the answer. That's where people have the most trouble, because they're trying to stuff every single ounce of their expertise and experience into their marketing message and into one program. And that is overwhelming to people. It confuses people. And here's what we know about how the brain works. The brain doesn't know which direction to go in. So if Jay's showing up talking about private money and fixing and flipping and title companies and wholesaling and the BRRRR strat, like all these things in your marketing message, my brain is going, what's this guy talking about? I don't even know what one of these things mean. And now he's trying to ask me to choose, like, which one do I fall under? And I'm not really sure if he helps me solve the problem I'm experiencing right now. And is he really the guy that I need to go to? And we're confusing the heck out of people's brains because we're not just talking about one thing in the marketplace. So here's my question to you. That was in what, I don't know, like early, whenever you talked to Ron LeGrand, he's like, you're the private money guy.
Oh yeah,
We are now,
that was 2000. That was January 2011 when I called him up and asked him what's next.
okay, we're now in 2025. Are you still known as the private money guy?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Like, why have you stuck with that for so long?
That's a good question. I've stayed with that one thing for the reason that you just explained. So from a branding standpoint, I mean, I knew from previous marketing experience that you can't be everything to everybody. And I also knew when it comes to marketing, what you want to do is, or at least what I have done, is I have done my best to be totally authentic. So, here's the next two-prong thing. So I wanted to stay with that one thing. Like it's very easy to explain the message of how I can help solve somebody's problem, whether they are a seasoned real estate investor or they're, trying to still get their first deal. Interestingly enough, though, the majority of my clients have experienced the pain of either running out of money or being sick and tired of super high interest rates and origination fees at hard money lenders. So once they have felt that pain, now I can really speak to them, right? But when I mentioned being authentic, that's just so important. I heard, I can't remember who it was, but anyway, in recent years, I heard it might have been Tom Kroll. I'm not sure. It might have been Tom that said it. But the idea is when you're a coach and you're an educator, you want to, the goal is you want to attract as many people to you that are like you, and it's okay to repel the rest of the people, which goes counterintuitive to the mindset of, well, I want to be everything to everybody because I've got so much that I can teach and so much that I can coach on. Well, you made a really, really important point, Megan. Lead with that one thing that you can solve, as long as there's a large enough audience for it. I mean, I admit I'm in a niche of a niche on the front end marketing. The niche is real estate investing, but the niche of the niche is private money for real estate investing. So I'd lead with that. But then once they are in your world, then they learn about all these other ways that you can help them and you can serve them. But when I say being authentic, I mean, I don't know who came up with the phrase opposites attract. That's the most stupid thing I ever heard in my life. I want to hang around people that are like me, And so how do I lead with being authentic as well? Well, I'm not ashamed of being a Christian. I'm not ashamed of talking about God. I'm not ashamed about talking about my Christian family. I'm not ashamed about telling people Carol Joy and I met almost 41 years ago at my first Sunday in town in Texas in church. And so I'm not throwing that in people's faces. I'm just letting people know who I am. And I want to, so as a result of that, at my live events, probably 99.9% of the people that show up are faith-based because they just know that's part of, who I am. Anyway, I didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole, but we were talking about leading with that marketing message up front. Be very, very specific, even if it's a niche of a niche, and be who you truly are and let people see you without your filter on.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that too. I think the fact that you have stuck with being the private money guy, and that is what you've led with for 14 years, I think that is significantly, it's not the only reason, obviously, but I think it's one of the most probably top 3 reasons why you are still in the game of the coaching and online space at the level that you are, right? Like you are continuing to grow, you're still growing, you still have the course, you still have your masterminds, you still have your 3-day seminars. And what I see happening with a lot of coaches and educators is they keep changing that go-to-market strategy.
Mm.
You've kept your go-to-market strategy, the same go-to-market strategy for the last 14 years. And when we keep changing that, again, what we're doing is we're confusing the audience, and we're also creating this lack of trust with our audience too. But you've spent 14 years building trust. And I just am sitting on that topic for quite a while, because there's this idea out there, and it's not a new idea, but it's this idea that, I'm Jay Connor. I've been doing this for X number of decades. You should just come work with me. You should just come hire me. You know what I do. I've been showing up all the time. And that's what a lot of people think, but you are still, this many years in, you're still showing up. You're still speaking on other people's stages. You're still selling your course. You're still doing Facebook ads. Like, you're still doing all the same marketing and sales and all the same strategies, not maybe the same ones, maybe they've changed over the years, but you never stop doing that, is my point. You've kept doing it because you have to, in order to maintain, sustain, and continue to grow.
Well, you just said something that leads me to share this. When a coach or educator knows what that one thing is that you want to be known for, and the message is very, very clear that here's what you can do. I mean, like the name of my book here, the subtitle, I mean, the book is Where to Get the Money Now, but the subtitle is a very, very clear message. How and where to get money for your real estate deals without relying on traditional or hard money lenders. When you know that very specific message and the problem that you can solve for other people, that one message should permeate everything you do that you're in your marketing. For example, my flagship, now I have other home study courses, but my flagship home study course is the Private Money Success System. The book, Where to Get the Money Now, all private money. For goodness sakes, my podcast. I'm now in the 8th year of my podcast. And I remember, Megan, our dear friend and fellow mastermind member, Joe McCall. I remember Joe gave a talk probably 4 or 5 years ago in a different mastermind. And Joe said, when you start your podcast, don't even think about starting your podcast unless you're committed to doing it at least. Hey, Megan, I only got 2 more to go. But anyway, the point that I'm making is, well, what's the name of my podcast? The name of my podcast is Raising Private Money. That's the name of the podcast. So once a coach or educator knows exactly what's that one thing you want to be known for, it now permeates everything as far as your marketing goes.
Okay. Love it. So I'd love for you to give the high level overview of what does your product, like your offer suite, what does your offer suite look like? I want to see what that looks like. And then I want to dive into what does your funnel look like? How are you getting people in? How are you consistently keeping your pipeline of leads full? So start with, what does the offer suite look like?
Sure. So the offer is dependent upon how a new prospective client finds me. So how they find me is going to determine, or does determine, what's the offer. So let's start with Facebook advertising. So on Facebook advertising, we have 2 offers on Facebook. One offer is my free money guide download. Here in the business, we call it the lead magnet. So I have this ebook that's called 7 Reasons Why Private Money Will Skyrocket Your Real Estate Business and Help You Build Incredible Wealth. There it is again, the one message, private money. So this is a downloadable free lead magnet that brings them into my world. So on average, we get about 175 or 200 new people coming into my marketing world a week that are downloading the money guide. So immediately after the money guide, they are offered an upsell to my 7-day challenge. What's the challenge? No surprise. It's the Private Money Challenge. the all in caps, the Private Money Challenge, which is an evergreen 7-day offering. Anyway, so that offer is $17. So they came in free with the Private Money ebook. They're immediately offered the 7-day challenge for $17. Now, within the challenge, there are 6 other offers for them to choose from. There's 3 bumps, there's 3 upsells. And so now in these upsells, they're starting to learn more about what I do, but it's still all private money. One of the upsells is a whole video training on how to raise private money without asking for money. 45-minute training. And these upsells are anywhere from $29 to $97 or $99. If they bought the whole suite of offerings in the challenge upsells, that's about $350. And some people buy it all. Not many, but some do. So you got the free lead magnet from Facebook, offer the $17 challenge, then that is they're upsold or offered these other trainings within the challenge. On the 6th video or training of the challenge is where I offer the live event. So all roads, at least as of this recording, Megan, all roads lead to the live event. What I mean by all roads lead to the live event, this is a in-person event. I do it 3 times a year. What's the name of the event? Imagine this. The Private Money Conference is the name of the event.
It's
right?
not that hard, people. I hope you're getting that message. It's not that hard. You don't have to overthink. You don't have to be clever. You don't have to be cute. You got to say what it is because people get it. And that's what you're known for because that's what that you use that name everywhere.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, keep going.
So yeah, all roads lead to the live event. So what I mean by that is 80% of my revenue in the coaching business comes from sales at the live event. So I'll get to the live event here in a moment. So that's the money guide funnel. Now, of course, whether they buy the challenge or they don't buy the challenge, we have a series of 8 emails that are dripped on everybody that gets the free money guide download, the lead magnet. And in these 8 emails, guess what? One of those emails, they're going to learn about my monthly membership. Well, imagine what the monthly membership is called. The monthly membership is called the Private Money Academy membership. So we offer these people in that 8 email sequence a free 30-day trial. And so, we've got the landing page for that and et cetera. And we give them a free 30-day trial. And the biggest benefit of being a member of the Private Money Academy is I go live on Zoom twice a month for the members. And if they like it, which most of them do, then they can stay in for $37 a month, measly $37 a month, to get the content from the membership site on Private Money and all these new Zooms, and the Zooms are archived and et cetera. Now, why do I do the membership? There's so much to talk about, Megan. So why do I do the membership? I don't do the membership for $37 a month. I mean, it's not bad. I got about 300 members that are paying $37 a month, so that's okay. But the real reason for the membership is to establish and nurture relationships with these people on camera and give them a lot of value. And of course, invite them to the Private Money Conference live event that I'm doing twice a year. Now, how do other people come into my world? And then we'll get to the Private Money Conference event and what takes place and the offerings there. So I speak on other real estate investing stages, other promoters. I still speak every month at Ron LeGrand's Quick Start School. So I get great exposure there. And I teach private money. That I'm the private money guy at his event. I teach other stuff at his event, but I'm known for that. And then I offer my private money success system that Megan, that you helped me put together recently. And it sells for $2,500 retail on my website. But I offer it on other people's stages, like I spoke at the Midwest RIA up in Grand Rapids, Michigan recently. And so I sell it. I offer it for $1,495, 50% off from the website price. So when those people come into my funnel as a course buyer, those, of course, are the most qualified people on my list. Now, the book is in the funnel also. The book is offered. It's a $20 on Amazon, but I offer it for free with $6.95 shipping. This is one of the 8 emails that they get after they download the money guide. So back to the course buyers. Those are the most qualified people on my list, those that have invested $1,495. And I have a good percentage of those course buyers that actually end up at the Private Money Conference. So when I said all roads lead to the conference, that's when the high ticket is sold. The high ticket coaching is sold, 80% of the revenue. So at the live event, we have 3 offerings at the live event. We have a 6-month coaching program for real estate investors. And all these coaching programs are led with the private money piece. And then we expand out from there. So we got 6 months for $20,000 investment. Then we have a year-long coaching program. And that investment is $30,000. Specifically, it's $19,995 and $29,995. And then the top elite offering is to come into my mastermind community. So the mastermind itself for the first year is $20,000, but a prerequisite to be in mastermind is you have to also be in the year-long coaching program, or in it, or just signed up now, or a graduate of that. So we have approximately 60% of the people that sign up for the year-long coaching. Hardly anybody signs up for the 6 months. I mean, it's either the $30,000 or an additional $20,000 in mastermind. So about 60% of the conversions and sales at the event actually come in at the $50,000 level as well. And Mylans, we could talk all day about what it is that makes those live events successful. I can tell you one big thing that makes the sales work is the financing arm. So a relationship with a company or broker or provider that can be right there on hand to provide the financing to where it's very, very, seeable and affordable by your prospects is just going to shoot your conversions, out the ceiling when you make it easy to buy. I plowed a lot of ground right there, Megan. I don't know which parts you want to drill back down on.
That was really good. That was like a masterclass on the client journey. And I hope everybody was taking really good notes with that. I mean, one of my biggest takeaways is you have a lot of things in place that are trust builders. A lot of things in place to build trust with people before you're ascending them or inviting them into your higher ticket. And I think that is so important. I mean, you've been doing that for a very long time, but one of the biggest shifts that we've seen in the coaching space is that it's harder for people to sell their higher end coaching, meaning it's becoming harder for them to go directly to their high ticket coaching. And that's what a lot of folks have done in the traditional coaching space is they never had anything low ticket. They weren't doing anything to build trust with people beyond their free content on social media, maybe their podcast, but nothing else. There was nothing else for people to buy into that was a lower ticket as a trust builder. And everybody kind of had this message like low ticket is for, people that you don't even ever want to be in your high ticket. It's like the downsell. It's for the people who can't afford the bigger. And what I hear you saying is the whole entire client journey is to warm people up and to build trust with them and to build a relationship with them. It's the same avatar that you want in your year-long mastermind. So the same avatar that's buying some of these other things that you mentioned at the beginning of the funnel, that's the same person we want up here in the bigger mastermind.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Megan, because I just ran the numbers. So I have a live event coming up in just 3 weeks from now. and I'm looking at the registration list of people that have already secured their seat. And so it's very, very important to track the origin. Where did these people originally come from? How did they get on your list? And as important as well, what link or affiliate link or whatever are they actually clicking on to register? So here's the point. What you just said is very, very interesting about how some educators or coaches think, well, I don't want the low ticket people. I want the high ticket people. Well, as you just said, in most cases, you're not going to get a high ticket person unless they have some kind of relationship with you. So here's the takeaway. Over 30% of the people that are registered to come to my upcoming live event came in with the free money guide ebook.
Oh, wow.
Over
That's
30%. So they came in for free, right? And they all like maybe took a different journey. Some of them got my book after. And by the way, with the book, everything leads to the live event. The book comes with 2 tickets to the Private Money Conference. So the tickets are in the book, and they don't even know that's coming, right? That's like a bonus when people, take me up on the book offer. Some of these people from the Money Guide, they might have came into the Private Money Academy membership, right? So I wanted to endorse the point you just made. A lot of these people, they might come in with a free lead magnet. They might come in, with that lower ticket. But as long as you have the opportunity to nurture that relationship, I want to get as many people as I can in the Private Money Academy membership so we can hang out on Zoom, and this just came to mind. Another way that I nurture the relationships before the event that's coming up is I'll do special Zoom trainings for people. Say, for example, I'm doing a special Zoom training tomorrow at noon Eastern, just for people in my LinkedIn connections. And that's a whole nother conversation, but I've created an event, the Private Money Conference event, on my LinkedIn page. Well, I've got 130 some people in the past 3 weeks have clicked yes, they want to attend. Well, most people on LinkedIn think your event is virtual, so it isn't. So what am I going to do? I'm doing a special Zoom training for these LinkedIn people all about private money tomorrow. And what am I going to do at the end of that free training? I'm going to invite them to the live event that's coming up. So that's what I mean by all roads leading to the live event.
Yeah. This is so good. So good. Okay. This has been a masterclass on the right way to build a funnel and a client journey. So thank you for sharing all those details. Here's where I want to kind of land the plane. If you could pinpoint, you don't have to come up with just one, but if you could pinpoint what's really led to your long-lasting success, I'd like to hear you share something external outside of you, and then something internal inside of you. Because longevity, when I think of Jay Conner, I also think longevity, I think legacy, I think the name of this podcast, I think built to last. So what is your kind of secret to building something that lasts, external and internal? We'll end there.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because it's actually external. My answer is actually external and internal. The external becomes internal. What in the world am I talking about? I can tell you what has kept me going and feel like I'm always on the cutting edge of, what new strategies are working and, maybe what no longer works. It's these masterminds that I'm a member of. Getting around other people such as yourself, Megan. If I hadn't joined the mastermind that you and I are in, you and I probably would not have met. I wouldn't have the stellar home study course on private money that I now have without us being in that. So the relationships, I forget who is credited with the quote, but the quote, I'll paraphrase it, more or less says, Your destiny and future is predicated on the books you read and the people you meet. And so the mastermind is external. That's a group that I've joined, right? And I've been in many and still am. But what becomes internal? What becomes internal and gives me the juice to keep going is the inspiration that I receive from my fellow mastermind members. I joined my very first mastermind in 2011, right after becoming a coach. And I joined the mastermind. It was other coaches. And so I have been in mastermind communities and groups ever since I started this journey of being a real estate investing coach. And it is if I could choose just one thing, without it, I wouldn't be in business. Without being a member that's actively involved in a really good mastermind group of fellow-minded people, I just can't imagine being in this business on an island by myself.
Yeah. Wow. That's really good. And you're in multiple groups and multiple masterminds, not just one, too. Yeah.
Correct.
That's amazing, Jay. This has been so fun. Well, I mean, we could literally like do a whole we could do a whole day workshop on this.
For sure.
But this has been so amazing. We've got a lot of coaches and educators as listeners, a lot of entrepreneurs. We've got some real estate investors. So I'd love for you to share, how can people kind of check out that funnel and see what your process is like? And if they're interested in learning about raising private money for a real estate deal, how can they learn more from you?
Sure. Well, actually, to look at and swipe and deploy any of my strategies that you want to, I would encourage you as a listener to this podcast to just opt into my funnel, into my marketing funnel. So, and if you're interested in raising private money, you'll get all the goods on that as well. So let me mail you my book. So the book is Where to Get the Money Now. And so you opt in. So it's a shipping and handling. Simply go to www.jayconner.com/book. Again, I'm an ER, not an OR. So that's jayconner.com/book. When you get to that landing page, you'll opt in. And so I'll autograph and mail the book to you. We actually ship. I lose money. It costs me about $20 to deliver this book. So I've got the cost of the book, but then we priority mail it. I don't rely on media mail or first class mail. We express mail the book to the people that get it. And so once you order the book, you will see that series of 8 emails that are spread over about a week and a half. You'll see the other offers that come from the people that opt in. You'll also see, I got a fun game. I include tickets to the Private Money Conference. I also include the free trial to the Private Money Academy membership with the book. And so there's 3 offers in envelopes. Envelope 1, envelope 2, envelope 3. And on envelope 1, it says, open this envelope first. And then envelope number 2, open this envelope second, open this envelope third. So we're having fun and getting them engaged, right off the bat. So yeah, opt in, jayconner.com/book, and you can swipe and deploy my marketing funnel.
I love it. I love it. That's so fun. What a fun idea. I love that. Choose your own little adventure there in the book. Amazing, Jay. Thank you so much for pulling back the curtain and sharing with us, 14, 15 years of experience in not just the real estate investing world, but how you turned that expertise and specialized knowledge into a coaching company that continues to thrive in 2025. We're kind of like living in this new world, but you are still inspired and thriving and moving along. So I appreciate you sharing really your entire client journey with us. It was a pleasure to be with you today.
You got it. Megan, thank you so much for having me on. And if anybody wants to talk shop or talk coaching or whatever, you can find me easily there at jconnor.com as well. And again, if you're interested in private money, I mentioned it earlier in the show, but come check out my podcast. You can experience what I do there on marketing. I mean, we've got the beginning of the podcast is, or the end of the podcast is offering the money guide, right? So I use the podcast as a lead funnel as well. Megan, thank you so much for having me on. This has been a blast.
All right. Thank you so much, Jay.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconnor.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconnor.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Connor.